Hello everybody, this is Tip Top Gaming here today with another Magic the Gathering video, and today we're going to be breaking down spoilers for Throne of Eldraine. Now, normally I have this fancy presentation where I have one card at a time, but today I'm kind of running low on time and there's a ton of news. So, we're just going to break it down right here on mythicspoiler.com. So, starting off, we have the NYX Basic Lands. These are really awesome looking basic lands that will be found in every pack of Theros Beyond Death. Now, I know a lot of my crowd likes MTG Arena, and so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I, as a player, hope that we just get these lands, as they're the main lands within the set. However, due to a post about the collector boosters, we know that there are other basic lands within the set. Now, I don't know how these are going to be released. It could be similar to Guilds of Ravnica and Ravnica Allegiance, where they were found within the bundle only, and gates were found within packs. Now, I really hope that's the case. However, I could see it being highly probable that MTG Arena does not give us access to these. They instead give us access to the art found within the bundle or whatever, the other ones. And then their event is for these lands. We've seen them do basic land events, or maybe you even have to pay for these. However, I find that highly unlikely. Now, in the previous video, I talked about the collector frames, which they said they are doing gods and demigods, with the constellation mechanic. And so that's what are going to have the, style or showcase frame. And so I don't know if those will be coming to MTG Arena either, but I'm going to do a video covering that here soon. So why don't we just jump right back into the cards. Now, I talked about Elspeth, Ashiok, and Theros in a past video, so we're just going to skip right past these. Now, these cards were spoiled through MTG Arena, and so why don't we break them down here? Daxos, Blessed by the Sun, is a 2-cost legendary enchantment creature demigod. Its toughness is equal to your devotion to white, which is each white within a mana cost. Whenever another creature you control enters the battlefield or dies, you gain 1 life. Now, I think this will definitely fit into some white life gain decks, as it not only is another one of those creatures that says, hey, gain a life whenever something enters the battlefield, but you also get it when it dies, which is very powerful, especially, if you're letting things die, that generally means you're starting to lose, or, that's pretty good. And then another thing is this is really good with Devotion to White, and so this might fit into a deck where you have a lot of 1/1s for 1, because guess what? Those cost 1 white, and so you are technically getting 1 Devotion for 1 mana, which is very good. Next, we have Hero of the Wind, which is a 4-cost 1/4 creature human soldier. It has flying, and it says whenever you cast a spell that targets Hero of the Winds, creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. I think this could definitely fit within a feather archetype in terms of decks within Standard. I know that is falling out of favor. However, I think that because you can just keep casting spells, you can boost everybody at the same time. I think this will definitely see some inclusion in Feather decks, and if not, it will see play within Brawl, because it's a singleton format, and we need more cards like this. Revoke Existence is a 2-cost white sorcery, exile target artifact or enchantment. Pretty basic card. I think it's going to be very needed, especially saying this is an enchantment heavy set. It'll be needed just for the draft environment, which is why I think it's here. Next, we have Myers Grasp, which is a 2-cost enchantment aura. Enchanted creature gets -3/-3. Isn't Deadweight something similar to this card? Well, either way, it's a welcome addition for draft. It's a 2-cost, basically Disfigure, but it's permanent, so that's may not seem... Disfigure is -2/-2. Sorry. It's a -3/-3, which could be used as a kill spell, or it could be used to, you have a 4/4, I'm going to make it now a 1/1 that can't attack now because I have a 2/2. So it can be very useful. I think it'll see a lot of play in draft. Next, we have Inevitable End. It's a 3-cost enchantment aura, and it says Enchant Creature. Enchanted creature has at the beginning of your upkeep sacrifice a creature. I think this card is a brilliant idea. So here's why this is so good. This could just be a 3-cost kill target creature, which this card is pretty powerful. However, if you put this on their biggest creature, they can choose to start killing their 1/1s instead of killing the big creature, which could be a good thing or a bad thing. For instance, say your opponent creates a lot of creatures, this isn't going to be that good. If they can create 2 1/1s every turn, well, you're just slowing them down, which isn't bad for a 3-cost uncommon. However, if that's the only creature they have, or they don't want to keep sacrificing creatures, because at some point they've sacrificed more creatures than the creature this is attached to is worth. So I think this creates an interesting dynamic where the opponent has to come up with the idea of, is the creature this is attached to worth it? Because obviously they can just sack the creature and then this effect stops. I think this is really cool. Now, I don't know how this works. If you enchant one of the gods, like this one, that becomes a creature, and then it becomes not a creature, does this stay attached to it? If that's the case, then they can't sacrifice it, and they're just going to have to keep sacrificing permanents, which I think is going to be kind of hilarious. So it'll be interesting to see how that gameplay dynamic works. Then we have Memory Drain, which is a 4-cost instant counterspell, but you get to scry 2. This is okay. 4-cost counterspells do see some play. However, 3-cost ones are generally favored more. Alrighty then, let's move on to the next one. We have Commanding Presence, which is a 4-cost enchantment aura, enchant creature. Have you noticed there's a lot of enchantments? Enchanted creature has +2/+2 and it has first strike, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, create a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. So you get to create an army, you get to boost something, and it has first strikes, meaning it's harder to block. I think this is a very good card. I mean, especially for a limited environment. I don't know which of these are going to see standard play, but I think it's very good. Staggering Insight is a 2-cost white and blue enchantment aura, and it says enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has lifelink, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So we saw this with Curious Obsession, except it was mono blue, costed 1, didn't give the +1/+1 or lifelink. Actually, I think it may have given the +1/+1. Didn't give lifelink. I think this is a much more appropriate card for standard. I don't know if it's going to see play, but I think it's a lot more appropriate. Then we have Tessin Champion, which is a 3-cost creature human warrior with Constellation. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on her and draw a card. If you are building an enchantment deck, she is going in it. Because, hey, you play an enchantment, draw a card, maybe you just pulled another enchantment. She is very powerful. And if you're playing on something like red, or something that cares about power and toughness in terms of removal, she gets harder to move as the game goes on. So that's very good. Next, we have Clothius Design, which is 6-cost sorcery, and it says creatures you control get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is your devotion to green. Fairly good card that cares about devotion. Speaking of devotion, I'm going to jump down here to Nyxborn Colossus. It's a 6-cost 6/7 enchantment creature giant. So this not only cares about in green devotion, because, hey, you have 3 green mana symbols there, but it also cares about enchantments because, well, it's an enchantment creature. It also cares about being a giant, which is kind of important in an era where Beanstalk Giant, I believe that's the name of it, the white adventure card that has destroy all non-giants. Well, this is a giant. Next, we have the Akroan War, which says gain control of target creature. It's a saga, 4 costs. So when it enters the battlefield, you gain control of target creature as long as this remains on the battlefield. Then, your next turn, until end of turn, creatures your opponent's control attack each combat fable. Then, each attacked creature deals damage to itself, equal to its power. So, the idea is you steal their biggest creature, then so it doesn't gain haste, so you gain control of it, preferably an untapped one. Then you expect an onslaught from your opponent, right? So if you can defend off, you're good. Then any tapped creature, so basically any creature without vigilance, kills itself. Now generally, on your turn, you want to find a way to tap down your opponent's creature so it destroys itself too. But that's generally not as big of a concern. This card, I think, is very brilliant in that it allows you to, it creates interesting dynamic gameplay, and that's what I really like. Alright, the last 2 cards are the Planeswalker deck Planeswalkers. We have Elspeth, Undaunted Hero, which is a 5-cost triple white, so that, this cares about devotion, obviously. Planeswalker, and it says +2, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. That's not bad. -2, search your library and or graveyard for a card named Sunlit Hoplite and put it onto the battlefield. Then if you search your library this way, shuffle it. This is a very interesting kind of thing to see on a Planeswalker. We don't see search your library for a specific card. I mean, it makes sense in a Planeswalker deck scenario because you're obviously going to play with that card. I hope there's something obvious about that card because I'm sure a lot of new players are going to be like, this card is junky, because if she can just summon it right to the battlefield, it's probably pretty bad. So I hope it's kind of obvious that she summons it to them, but who knows. Then, -8 until end of turn, creatures you control gain flying and get +X/+X, where X is your devotion to white. Not a great card, not going to see standard play. Mono white, Planeswalkers have been the most valuable out of come out of Planeswalker decks, except for that one Tezzeret that one time. But I feel like Ajani's are generally pretty good, but this card's okay. And then we have Ashiok, Sculptor of Fears, which is a 6 cost, 6 4 loyalty Planeswalker. And if you notice, they're doing the same thing they did with Davriel. The like black of his thing is coming off onto the top of the card. It's a legendary Planeswalker Ashiok, and it says +2, draw a card. Each player puts the top 2 cards of their library into their graveyard. That's pretty big. Now, may I mention that the normal Ashiok cares about exile things, not things in the graveyard, so that is different. -5, put a target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, and -11, gain control of all creatures target opponent control. Okay, if I'm in the store, and I'm like, which of these 2 do I want? I'm picking Ashiok. Ashiok draws cards, mills, takes cards that he mills and puts them onto the battlefield, and then gains control of a bunch of creatures that your opponents control. That ultimate doesn't really go with his other abilities. However, I think that this is a very interesting card. I'm not going to say good because it's a Planeswalker deck card. Not that great. But that's going to do it for this video. I think overall we haven't seen enough of the set. We're going to, I believe we start seeing this set Christmas Eve, and Christmas is when we really start picking up into spoilers. So that's very interesting. I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you enjoyed. Hit the like button, subscribe. Bye.